Welcome back to Melody Guitar Book 3. This book focuses on reading and playing melodies in standard music notation. You can watch all these videos for free, but it's going to be a lot easier to learn if you have your own copy of Melody Guitar 3 that you can read from and write in. Plus, you can help support a music teacher, so I'll leave a link in the description. We're on page 14. We have 2 new melodies with hammer-ons and pull-offs, and these are a little bit more challenging than usual. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, play. On top of page 14, we have number 18, Little Minka. This is in 2/4 time. It's marked allegretto. That's kind of medium fast. The playthrough was at quarter equals 105. Now, if that's a little fast for starters, that's okay. Set your metronome to a slower speed and gradually build up. We begin with repeated C notes, 1 and 2 and then we have a hammer-on from C to E flat, and then a pull-off from D to C. So you're going to keep your first finger down after your hammer-on onto the E flat, because on the next beat you're going to have to pull off back to that C. So first finger stays down through that entire measure. Now we have our hammer-on here. Make sure you pluck the D with your pick to get that pull-off started. So 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and then we have repeated B's, and then we have another hammer-on followed by a pull-off. We have a hammer-on from B to D, and then a pull-off from C to B. And while I'm doing this, I'm also muting the first string. Those hammer-ons and pull-offs are all on the second string, but I'm muting the first string with one of my fingers with my right hand, just to make sure I don't accidentally get a note out of that string. Next we have repeated C's again, and then at the beginning of line 2 we have the same hammer-on and pull-off that we had in measure 2. Then a rest, repeated E flats. Remember our rule of accidentals. That first note is an E flat, but all the rest of those E's are E flats in that measure because they're not canceled out by a natural. So we have 1 and 2 and. Remember that E flat is on second string, 4th fret. And make sure you're also alternate picking down, up, down, up. So 1 and 2 and down, up, down, up. This E is also an E flat. It's in the same measure as the E flat at the beginning of that measure. Then we have some D's, 1 and 2 and third line, 1 and 2 and this is like the beginning again. We have some C's, 1 and 2 and hammer on to E flat from the C, but keep your first finger down so you can pull off from D to C. Then some accented notes at the end, so those are a little louder than the others. And we also have a repeat sign. There is no forward repeat, so this means we go back to the very beginning and play it twice. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. At the bottom of page 14, we have number 19, this Écossaise. It's in 4/4 time. It's got a couple pickup notes, and it's marked presto, quarter equals 170. So that's pretty brisk. If that's a little too fast for you, start at a slower speed. Use a metronome to gradually build up your speed over the course of a week or two. Before playing through this, we need to check out some repeat signs. We have a first and second ending about in the middle of the second line. That repeat sign takes us back to nearly the beginning, minus the two pickup notes. Then the second time through, we skip the first ending, jump to the second ending. You can see right after the second ending, there's a forward repeat bar, so you know we're going to have to repeat back to that at some point. If you look at the second line from the bottom, line number 4, we have another first and second ending. So this repeat takes you back to the last measure of line 2, where that forward repeat is. And then the second time through, we skip the first ending and jump to the second ending. We begin with a double hammer-on. We're hammering on from B to C to D. So that's going to be pretty quick. And then we have some quarter notes. F sharp. Notice there's a staccato marking under that F sharp, so that's going to be a little on the short side. And there's an accent above that E, so that's going to be played louder than the other notes around it. Then some quarter notes. And we have another staccato accent. And then we have that same double hammer-on. And then the F sharp. First note of the first ending is staccato, so play that short. And then we have another double hammer-on. We have a repeat. Notice at the end of this measure of the first ending, that slur doesn't go to the C. It goes from a B and then beyond the C. This is just showing you that when you repeat, you're going to be hammering on from the B to the C to the D, just as you did at the beginning. So then you go back, you take that repeat, second time through, you skip the first ending, jump right to the second ending. Last two notes of the second ending, we have an accented A and B, so there's going to be a little louder. And all these C's in the last measure of the second line have staccato and accent marks. That's going to be short and loud. And then, beginning of the third line, we have a hammer-on from C to D, and then a pull-off from C to B. So when you do your hammer-on from C to D, keep your first finger down, because you're going to need to go back to that first finger to begin this pull-off on beat 2. And as I was doing in the folk song, I'm also muting the first string with my picking hand so I don't accidentally get a note out of that string. So in that hammer-on pull-off combination, you pick the C and hammer, and then with your right hand you pick the C again and pull. And then this is the same combination. Short, accented, short, accented. And then we have a couple pickup notes at the end of the first ending. That takes you back to that forward repeat that we talked about at the end of the second line. Go through all that, skip the first ending. When we're the second time through, jump to the second ending. Now, right after the second ending, or I should say the last two notes of this second ending, are like the beginning. We have that double hammer-on and the same melody. Short accent and double hammer-on. And it's a little different at the very end. We just play G, D, and low G. Your assignment is to practice the melodies on page 14, play those hammer-ons and pull-offs nice and evenly, and as always, work on keeping good time by playing along with the video or play to a metronome so you can choose your own tempo. And don't forget to order your own copy of Melody Guitar Book 3, I'll leave a link in the description. Take your time with this, and then when you're ready, I'll see you on page 15. We have a melody that puts us in second position.